Ladies and gentlemen, today is a very important day for us in Bangalore. It is very important for multiple reasons because we are here to understand the failure we have had in our society to protect our women and children. We got our freedom to the largest non-violent movement in human history. In the 5,000 years of civilization, the largest non-violent movement for freedom against foreign oppression happened in India. Many people across this great land, led by one frail old man with a stick in his hand, march against the greatest power the world has seen, not raising their hand to fight for their freedom. Many people who are weak and oppressed, Pardanashi women who never stepped out of their houses, peasants who were so poor and so weak that they had no food to eat. They all came out to march. They all protested. They were beaten, they were shot, they were killed, but they never raised their hand in violence. And it is this group of people who gave us our freedom. And that freedom culminated in a Constituent Assembly to discuss the idea of India. What kind of a country should India be? And that Constituent Assembly, after a debate of nearly 2.5 years, gave us the Constitution of India, starting with these great words, "We the people of India." And in this Constitution, our fundamental rights are guaranteed. The Constitution says we have a right to equality, we have a right to life, we have a right to justice, we have a right to association, and many other freedoms. It abolished untouchability. And it gave us a vision of the society that we want to make free of oppression, free of fear, where every individual could work, could live with dignity and hope and protection from oppression. And our rights have come from this document, the Constitution. Our rights do not come from a political party. Our rights do not come from an individual. Our rights do not come from any group, but our rights come from the Constitution. And the Constitution says, the President of India, who is elected by Parliament, shall uphold the Constitution and guarantee his citizens that the rights shall be upheld. The government, led by the Prime Minister, swear on the Constitution to uphold the Constitution. The Chief Justice of India swears in the Constitution to uphold the Constitution and to make sure justice is given to all of us. And that justice has not been given to us, given to 70% of our population till today. 50% are women, and the balance are children below the age of 18. And they make up 70% of our population. Women and children in many parts of India live in fear. They live believing in patronage. They live believing that somebody should take care of them. Nobody should take care of them because the day you're born in this country as a citizen, you have all these rights and the state has to enforce these rights. So people are not beggars. People of this country are not people who depend upon somebody for the enforcement of the rights. They have an obligation. And the people whom we elect to Parliament have an obligation. They have to do it. There is no choice. And I want to say this to all of you, that it is our right and the duty of the government to do it. The government fails. We must rise against the government and tell them they're not upholding the pledge that they've taken. And we must do it. Today we had many cases of rape against women, molestation of women, groping against women, children getting abused. We cannot tolerate this anymore as a civilized society. We cannot tolerate it anymore because this is not the India that is our dream, and this is not what our founding fathers promised to give to us through a very long journey of a freedom movement where millions and millions of people participated. So we must ask ourselves, are we a failed society? Are we a society which is insensitive to 70% of the population? Is this the society that we want to build? Is this the future we want to give our children? Many of us are privileged. Many of us live with security. Many of us have got whatever we want. Very many of us don't have that and live in fear. And for this to happen, there has to be justice in society. Justice implies people who break the law are proceeded against, they are prosecuted and punished severely. The laws have to be applied. The failure in India is the failure to apply laws. The failure in India is the lack of justice in a society, because justice delayed is justice denied. And for anybody, there is no fear of the law, no respect for the law. There is no fear of the law, there is no respect for the law. And very many people suffer from a very feudal attitude towards women and children. Before independence, in many feudal countries, women are considered to be chattel, properties. Children were considered to be chattel, properties. And that attitude continues, because we are not transformed from a feudal society to a society governed by a rule of law. So we must become a society governed by a rule of law. And let me say this again. The rights guaranteed in the Constitution cannot be taken away by anybody. The Supreme Court in the Keshavananda Bharati case has said, the basic structure of the Constitution cannot be amended. Even if a government comes with 542 seats in Parliament, it cannot pass a law taking away those fundamental rights. They're beyond the competence of Parliament. It can only be done if you have another Constituent Assembly, which is almost an impossibility. So our rights are there to stay. What should we do? Sadly, democracy is a system of competitive lobbies. In a democracy, there are multiple groups. They all live together. Each of them wants something. And depending upon their bargaining power, they get it. Now, women are not together. Women are not come together to fight for their rights on a platform. And making up 50% of the population, you have great power. The power of the vote. You can change governments. You can bring down governments. You can make a voice heard. So we must come together in a group. We must become a group which asks that the Constitution be put into action, that the rule of law prevail in society, that justice be done, and justice must seem to be done. Parliament passed the law after Nirbhaya. What has happened to the law? The law is not being applied. So we agitate Parliament pass another law, but the law will not be applied. So we must insist that the laws are applied. There are enough policemen to protect us. There are enough prosecutors to prosecute the offenders. There are enough judges to make sure that these cases go to court. It can only be done if we all come together. And we have to come together, women and men come together, because we owe it to our children. We owe it to our children, the idea of India that was promised to us. Just 3 days back, a German professor refused to give an internship to an Indian student, saying India has a rape problem. A country of 1.27 billion people is a country of rapists? Is it what we have become? Is it what our children should suffer for no reason? Is this the society we want? And why are we in this predicament? Because we're not together. We're not fighting for our rights. We're not asking the government to enforce the rights. And that's why this Billion Eyes Conclave is very important. It's a call to action for everybody to come together. What should business do? Business is a very important component of our society. In 1999, the Supreme Court passed the Vishaka case, sir, not in 2013. 1999, the Vishaka case was, Vishaka case was decided by the Supreme Court. It means the Supreme Court gave detailed guidelines for prevention of sexual harassment in the workplace and made it the law of the land. It's the law of the land. But Parliament put a bill and did not, even though I think the bill was passed, they did not notify the bill. Now, due to public pressure, they notified the bill after Nirbhaya. So we have a law which has been notified, but the law was there from 1999. And the corporate sector has an obligation to protect women in this workforce, even men for that matter. It's not that only women, is men too, from sexual harassment, from any kind of action which can be deemed to be oppression or intimidation. It's an obligation on this corporation by law. And all business leaders, CEOs and chairmen of the company and boards of the company have an obligation by law. In case they don't have an obligation, you want me to end? I'll finish in 2 minutes. Okay, I'll just take 2 minutes. Okay. I'm getting oppressed. Okay, so they have an obligation in the law and they're going to have the conclave. Now the message I want to give is very clear. The corporate sector has to come together. People like CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM, everybody has to come together, insist on a code of conduct by its members. that you follow the law. I don't think we're asking too much. As citizens, we don't ask too much of business. And let me say this, we want activist groups to come together to enforce the law. And many of you should come together as part of this Billionized Conclave so that we can enforce the law, file suit against companies to make sure that it happens. I was in Infosys. We had a sexual harassment case in 2003, and we took action. We set up committees after Vishaka came, and we used to get 300, 400 complaints, and we should take action. We did everything to make sure that women could be protected from sexual harassment in the workplace. So many good companies have done it, but we want all of them to come together, do it, and send a message out that as far as employees are concerned, everybody is equal, the rights will be protected, and there will be no harassment in the workplace. And further on, we must come together in the city of Bangalore, all of us, and demand of our Chief Minister that he apply the law, that when women walk on the street, they're safe. There are enough lights in the streets. There are enough people, police to protect us. There is a response team to take care of any action against women. There are enough prosecutors with the government to make sure that they prosecute offenders. There are fast-track courts which are set up, which unfortunately do not work to deliver justice. And punitive action is taken against anybody who does not follow the law. Because all we are asking, Mimi, is that enforce the law. We're not asking for favors. We're not begging for anything. Just say, this is the law of the land. Please, for God's sake, enforce it. That's our right. And we have to come together. So this conclave should not only be a call to action. This conclave should lead to the formation of groups which are going to be active, which are going to fight for rights, which are going to go to a government and tell them, please redeem your pledge that you made when you came to power that will uphold the constitutional guarantees. I just want to, our police commissioner is here. A police commissioner is a wonderful person who is devoted to making sure the rule of law is enforced. That's why, sir. So I just want to end here and say, I'm extremely personally happy. BPAC and everybody is happy. We're happy that all of you have come, and we have a wonderful group of people who are now determined that they are going to make the future better for everybody and for our children, and they're going to make sure the rule of law is applied. The law works, and there'll be no oppression of women and children in a society. Thank you very much.
Letting us know our rights so clearly and so aggressively. And yes, this is not only a call for action, but for several groups to go and ask for our rights. Thank you again.